Next, you want to store the eggs either on their side. Oh. Hey everybody, it is springtime and a lot of you are going chicken crazy. You're firing up incubators, you're either saving or buying eggs to hatch. Some of you are even selling eggs. And I'm hearing a lot of crazy stories involving uneducated buyers as well as uneducated sellers. So today I'm going to give you some tips on how to collect and store eggs for hatching, and at the end I will give you 4 essential questions that I ask people before I even consider buying hatching eggs from them. Number 1, make sure there's a rooster. I can't believe I actually have to say this, but I've heard stories and I've seen videos where evidently there are people who do not understand that.
Are you stupid or something?
You have to have a rooster and a hen together to have a fertilized egg. Now, there is a caveat to this. Hens will stay fertile for up to 2 weeks after a rooster has been removed. So, even if something happens to your rooster or the rooster of someone that you're buying eggs from, you have a 2-week window that you can still get fertile eggs. Now, the longer you wait into that 2-week window, the more you risk having infertile eggs. So you want to get them as quickly as possible, but you do still have some time. Not only do you want to ask, is there a rooster, you need to know how many hens there are per rooster. A rooster is only going to be able to keep so many hens fertile. If you have one rooster for every 10 to 12 hens, you're probably good. Now, quail is only 4 to 5, keep that in mind. But if you have one rooster in for 2 dozen hens, you're going to be getting some unfertilized eggs. Count on it. On a side note, if you're buying a certain breed or you're selling a certain breed, make sure that they're not free ranging with other roosters from a different breed. If you're fine with a barnyard mix, that's all good. But if you are buying something that is a specific breed, or if you are selling something and claiming it's a specific breed, make sure that they are kept separate so that they're not mixing with other breeds, because it's going to happen. They won't stay pure. Number 2, make sure they have some maturity to them. What do I mean by that? Well, first time layers and roosters may take a little bit to get their act together. If they're too young, they might be fertile right off, but they might be hit or miss, or it might even look like they're getting the job done and they're just not quite ready yet. So sellers, do yourself a favor. Don't start selling eggs from young chickens right away. Collect some of the eggs. Try hatching them yourself first. Make sure that there aren't any problems. See what kind of hatch rate you're getting. That could be a great selling point. If you could tell someone, hey, I hatched these out at a 90% rate, that is a great way to advertise. Now, don't make any guarantees, obviously, but it's good for people to know that. It's good for you to know that, especially if you're hoping to have repeat customers. You don't want to sell some eggs. Turns out they're not fertile, and these people, they might not even tell you. They're just never going to come back to you to buy again. So do yourselves a favor, collect the eggs, make sure that they're fertile. Do not start selling them right away without testing them. Number 3, make sure they're clean. Dirty eggs can hatch, but the dirtier they are, the more likely they are to have bacteria that's going to kill the chick before it has a chance to hatch. Remember, you're not just incubating a chick, you're incubating anything on that shell that likes heat and moisture. And that's a lot of nasty stuff. Just as importantly, you also want to make sure that they're not washed. Eggs have a protective coating on them called a bloom, and if you wash that off, it's going to allow bacteria to permeate the shell and it's going to kill it before it has a chance to hatch. So if you do need to clean an egg, get a dry cloth, wipe it off. If it's stubborn, you can use a Brillo pad, maybe a light sandpaper, but you're not trying to polish this egg. All you're doing is trying to get as much of the stuff off as you can without damaging that bloom and exposing it to bacteria. Also, make sure they're not cracked. You can candle them before incubating them, and if you're selling them, you should definitely candle them before you sell them. Your naked eye can't always see the crack, so by shining light through it, it'll illuminate the little dark cracks and stress fractures in the eggshell. That way you know before you go to the trouble of incubating for 21 days and it not hatching. I would not sell a cracked egg unless maybe it was disclosed up front and discounted and the seller was okay with it. However, if you're collecting your own eggs and you discover a crack, you don't have to toss it just yet. Not necessarily. You can perhaps seal the crack in the egg. One of the best ways to do this is drip melted candle wax onto the crack. That will seal it to keep the moisture from evaporating out of it, and it will keep the bacteria from going into it. And I have hatched them out like that. So you don't have to throw it away right off the bat. Now, mishaps happen. If you've dropped it and it's indented, I would probably just go ahead and toss it. There's a good chance you've damaged the interior structure, and putting wax on it will not help that. Number 4, make sure that the eggs are fresh. The longer you store an egg, the lower your chances of a successful hatch. And the older the genetic material gets, the more moisture the egg loses, the weaker that it's going to be, and the more time you have to get a false start. Starting incubation within 7 days is ideal. After that, your hatch rate may begin to decline. That said, I saved mine for up to 2 weeks, and I still get a hatch rate in the 90% range. So after 2 weeks, it gets pretty dicey. I wouldn't save them any longer than that. It also seems that the smaller the egg, the less storage time it will tolerate. That might not be true across the board. That's just something I've observed. Eggs need to be kept in a cool, not cold environment with a stable temperature. 50 to 60 degrees is ideal. You can go a little cooler than that. I've even heard of people hatching eggs that have been in the refrigerator. I wouldn't gamble my money on that. Personally, I keep mine on the kitchen counter. We keep the house about 70-ish degrees. I don't have a problem with them. I do not want the egg to freeze, and I don't want it to get warm enough that it starts to develop while not in the incubator. You also don't want to keep them in a dry environment. The drier the air is, the more it is going to evaporate the moisture out of the egg. The chick needs that moisture. Ideally, they say 75 to 80% humidity for storage. That said, here in South Carolina, I don't really worry about it. I keep them on the kitchen counter, and I don't have a problem. Be mindful, you don't want to necessarily put them next to a heat vent, because not only will it dry them out, maybe they're going to get too warm and start to develop before you have them in the incubator. So just be mindful of it. Again, I don't go overboard. Next, you want to store the eggs either on their side or with the pointy end down. Now, some eggs don't seem to have a pointy end. So you just do the best you can. Don't get hung up on it. The reason that we are going to store them either on their side or pointy end down is because we don't want them with the pointed end up, because it compromises the air sac that is inside the egg. And the chick is going to need that air sac to survive. Next, you want to store the eggs in something that's going to allow for good airflow. You don't want to put them in plastic or in a plastic bag that's sealed for sure. You want to make sure that the egg can breathe. Even the oils from your hand can block the pores. That doesn't mean you have to wear cotton gloves, but the less you handle it, the better for the egg. A note on ordering eggs by mail. I'm definitely not discouraging you from ordering eggs. If you can't get them locally, that might be the only option to get them. But remember, the farther the eggs have to travel, the longer they're in storage, and they're not likely to be in a controlled environment. They're going to be in the back of a delivery vehicle, fluctuating between hot and cold, and it's just not good for your hatch rate. So, if I were ordering eggs, I would try to make sure I ordered eggs as close to home as I could to shorten the delivery time. I would also try to avoid the extreme months, the hottest and coldest months. If at all possible, I want to order them in the milder months when I don't have as much change. And just remember that hatching eggs really come down to how much money are you willing to gamble. It's very unlikely you're going to have a 100% hatch rate, and the more of these points that you have working against you, the less eggs you can expect to hatch. So the question is, how much risk are you willing to tolerate for the money that you're spending? With that in mind, these are the absolutely essential questions that I'm going to ask before buying eggs from someone, assuming I don't care about breed. Number 1, what is your hen to rooster ratio? Number 2, how old are the eggs? Number 3, are they clean, unwashed eggs? Number 4, where and how were they stored? If they cannot answer these questions satisfactorily, I'm not paying market price. I'm certainly not paying top dollar. That doesn't mean I won't consider a bargain price. But again, it's about how much I'm willing to spend and how much risk I'm willing to take. I hope that was helpful. If it was, you guys know what to do. Make sure you check out our other videos. If you want to see the incubators that I use, you can check out the side-by-side comparison right here. Make sure you check out the affiliate links in the description below. Maybe even visit the Buy Me a Coffee link if you so desire. Thank you guys for watching and showing your support. We'll see you next time.